for a circle. The mathematical definition of a circle is that it is the set of all the points a specific distance from a specific point. Imagine you've got some point and you want every single point that is exactly, say, 3 units from here. So let's say this distance is 3. So it'd be that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. And you get the idea when you start getting every single point that's 3 units from this. It's like if you had a string 3 units long and you anchored it at this point and you attached a pencil to it and you drew it all the way around. Now this point we call the center, duh, and we usually label it HK. We don't use an X and a Y to identify it because it's not actually a point on the circle, although we can't possibly determine where the circle is without knowing it. And the distance we call the radius. As in any circle, the radius is the distance from the center to the outside of the circle. And we logically use an R to represent that. So if we call these points that are on the circle XY, so this is an XY, and this is another XY, and this is another XY, then our distance formula, since it's a certain distance, would give us that the square root of the distance from X to H would be X minus H, and then we square it. And then the distance from Y to K, here's HK here. So the distance here would be Y minus K. Distance formula says square it, that's equal to the distance, which is R. Now with a circle, we typically don't bother writing this big square root the whole time. So we just go ahead and square both sides back again so that we've got it in the form X minus H squared plus, whoops, plus Y minus K squared equals R squared. So if we wanted to write the equation of a circle with the center at 0, 0 and radius 3, that would become X minus 0 squared plus Y minus 0 squared, because this is H and K, equals 3 squared. So we get X squared plus Y squared equals 9. On the other hand, if we wanted to find the center and radius of the circle whose equation is x minus 3 squared plus y plus 6 squared equals, say, I don't know, 50. The center, because the equation for the circle has minus h and minus k in it, where the center is positive h and positive k, this simply means that the signs are going to be different from what you see as the center point compared to what you see in the equation. The center here is going to be at positive 3, negative 6. The radius, r, is going to equal, because this is r squared, it would equal the square root of 50. Now, as a quick review, when we simplify a radical, we want to rewrite the radicand, whatever's inside the radical. We want to factor it into a perfect square, if it's possible to do so, times whatever. And then we simplify it by taking the square root of the one that was a perfect square. So this would become 5 on the square root of 2, would be your exact value. So one more problem with a circle. Suppose it says write the equation of a circle let's say which contains endpoints of a diameter at -2, 5, and let's say 4, 8. Okay, now we're in a mess, because in order to write the equation of the circle, which is going to be in the form x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, we've got to have the center, h and k, and we've got to have the radius, r. So let's take a look here. -2, 5. Sorry about that. We've got -2, 5, and then 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be about here. And the circle, these are endpoints of a diameter, which means that the circle goes like this. A diameter goes straight through the middle of the circle. Oh, so our center point is going to be the midpoint, right? So first of all, let's get the midpoint. Our midpoint formula is average the x's and average the y's. So we've got 4 plus a negative 2 is the same thing as 4 minus 2 over 2. 8 to 5 is going to be 8 plus 5 squared. So 4 plus negative 2 divided by 2. 8 plus 5 squared divided by 2. So we've got 2 over 2 is 1. And here we've got 13 halves. Life doesn't always come in whole numbers. The radius is going to be the distance from here to here squared, but because the circle formula is essentially the distance formula, we can go ahead and pick one of these. Let's say we pick this one to be x and y. And this is of course HK. So we can plug x and y and h and k into this side and just solve for r squared. So we're going to have 4 minus 1 squared plus 8 minus 13 halves squared equals r squared. This is 3 squared is 9. Plus, let's see, 8 over 1. 8 over 1 minus 13 over 2 would be 16 over 2 minus 13 over 2, which is 3 over 2. And 3 over 2 squared is 9/4. And then again, I still have to get a common denominator again. So 4 over 4. So I've got 36/4 plus 9/4 would equal 45/4. Let's say 5 equals r squared. I don't have to worry about the radius because it didn't actually ask for the radius. It asked for the equation of the circle. Make sure you understand what you're looking for, and if you have to go back and check while you're at it, fine. So the equation of the circle is going to be x minus h was 1 squared plus y minus k was 13 halves squared equals 45 over 4. And that's about as hard a problem as you're going to get on these, typically.